Does anyone know about this thing called The Last of Us? Pretty low-key game, quite relaxing, just been made into a TV show a couple of years ago. It's on the season 2. It definitely didn't keep me awake at night. It definitely didn't make me cry into my Weetabix for a week after finishing the second game either.
Well, this is gonna hurt like a mother.
Going into a stupid deep dive and looking at all the different things around The Last of Us, I realised that they might not make another game. So I thought I can try. Welcome back to the Mumbling Game. On today's Mumble, we mumble about Last of Us Part 3. Before we continue, remember to like and subscribe for future mumbles, so let's mumble about it.
This is the major spoilers to The Last of Us Part 2.
We start The Last of Us Part 2 like we ended Part 1 with a guitar.
No!
We see days pass and mold and spores start looking like they're growing on the guitar. We cut to Abby waking up in a building. We have had an aquarium, a stadium and a hospital, but this time it is a museum where she has rebuilt the Fireflies to some sort of their former glory. We go on a mission. Years have passed. Abby and Lev, a surprisingly difficult name to find by the way, are close to 10 years older. Abby is protective of Liv, saying that going on a mission even his early 20s age is too risky, only agreeing if she goes with her on this mission. Even after all this, Liv gets bitten. Abby knows that this is the end for her, but will not leave her and will not kill her either. Both are kinda in denial of the bite. They talk about what they've been doing for the past 10 years. This kind of section we see what has kind of been happening through the last 10 years of when they struggled to survive while finding the Fireflies and how they were kind of disappointed at what the Fireflies were when they found them. We cut to Ellie trying to shoot a gun. Ellie is struggling to adapt to the pistol with 2 less fingers, or maybe 3, I can't remember. And she's also visibly older. In this game, rather than big chunks of I think it was more split up into 3 days that happened in them 3 days between the 2 characters. You played through, I think it was Ellie's, and then we played through Abby's. Instead, it's going to be much more fluid. It's going to be like we kind of, something happens and we cut to this other character as oh, I know it sounds weird, but like a multiple cliffhanger type thing. Like we're so oh, this is going to happen, and then it cuts to another character and oh no, I need to get back to that character type feeling. Anyone read The Way of Kings? As pacing was kind of one of my only kind of stripes with The Last of Us Part 2. Kind of similar how it jumps between Atreus and Kratos, but a bit more focused of it. Literally, if you have read Way of Kings, it's like how they jump between characters. Not as annoying, but yeah. We find out she doesn't go on patrols anymore, has been helping around the Jacksonville community training the next generation. Dina and Ellie are not back together. Yeah, I know, it's been 10 years, but they're still in a rough patch. It's hinted that Ellie is doing this to prove to Dina she won't leave her again. Some more time has passed, and Ellie is now able to use her gun nearly as good as she used to, with a kind of leather brace what connects to the guns and adapting with less fingers. JJ is now growing up and now is a teenager and wants to explore, but Dina and Ellie agree that this is way too dangerous for him to leave them. Even though in different stages of their lives, it still shows the similarities between both of them. He leaves anyway, and this pushes Dina and Ellie to leave together. Ooh. They start searching, but it's a strange kind of silence between them both. Only really single words, small sentences are spoken at the beginning. The tension is very high between these two, what has been cemented through the last game. Dina is visibly annoyed at Ellie as she kind of blames her for JJ acting like this, as leaving her just like she did in the past. It's never really said, it's just very highly suggested. They come across her affected. First infected, Ellie has to fight with her adaptation of having less fingers. Ends up with Dina actually saving Ellie. Both of them are forced to on top of this building to get away from these massive groups of infected. This is where you're safe for a moment. Dina collapses in tears and says, how is JJ going to survive this? And Ellie just says, because we can. This is where we cut back to Abby, passed out from exhaustion. She wakes up to see that Lev is gone. Abby panicking trying to find her, she finds her staring out, looking motionless at an edge of a window. This suggesting that she didn't want to hurt Abby, and if she turned, she would fall. She says her name again, reaching for her gun slowly, crying while she's saying the name. Lev answers saying, "I'm fine," and she falls down crying and asks how. This suggesting that Liv is actually immune, but they can't go back to the Fireflies anymore because they will kill her. Abby remembers this from when Ellie was immune and they were trying to kill her for the cure. They both have to run away. They get further away from their new home, but lead to a new faction called the Aid. This starts a new story with the two characters we know, but also introducing a third character, what we kind of see the perspective of a kid's view of this terrible world. Jamer Jigger Hammersmith, aka JJ. I'm just going to put this out there. The names in this game are terrible. We have Tommy, Joel, Ellie, and Dina. Where are the kids named after states and some flowers? Oh, actually, I know where they are. They're all dead, aren't they? That makes sense. Anyway, back to JJ Jonah Smith. JJ is traveling away from Jackson, and after doing a little research, but not set in stone, JJ goes upwards to Mississippi. He comes across some minor affected, no clickers, even though he is slightly young, he's still capable, as he's been trained by Ellie and Dina, as he's been trained for just in case issues, just in case something happens around where they live. And through this, you can see that JJ is kind of cocky. JJ is this kind of aimless kid. He just wants some freedom and adventure. There's no goal to this. He just continues and sees things that's interesting. This is a kid that hasn't really felt the fear of this current world, so he just continues. He's not scared of the infected taking them down, but then he comes across a human. You don't fight these as he's a kid, and killing humans is a pretty big deal, and I don't think going full Rambo on a squad of humans would work, as that is how you're meant to play these type of games, right? JJ continues to follow these people, setting up some sort of devices until a group meets up in a vehicle and drive away from a pretty high point in the building you're viewing this from. Suddenly explosions hit and the building begins to collapse, and JJ has to escape, but with this, clickers show their faces and you have to run out of a collapsing building. You make it out running, jumping just in time over that kind of overpass, kind of bridgey type thing, thinking you're safe. But another explosion, a bridge overpass thing, whatever you call it, that driving thing, what goes over stuff, collapses and you roll back into this kind of building. We cut back to Ellie and they are refusing to stop. They keep pushing through exhaustion, but it's getting to their limits. And their limits are showing as their experience is lacking. They're not working well together, and through this exhaustion they just run into trucks and end up having to fight this new faction. Ellie and Dina fight them off but get knocked out and are taken into one of the trucks, waking up in the back of one of them as they pass out and driving by a massive stream of water. They're surrounded by guards. Ellie makes some sort of joke along the lines of all the water must need to go on a lot of pee breaks. She points out with her head towards the water, hinting at her escape plan. Their hands are bound, but they haven't really taken into account Ellie's lack of fingers, making it easy for her to escape. The explosions start again from their perspective, and the three guards, Ellie stabs one of them in the throat, the knife hidden in her belt, and is fighting with the second while the third goes with her. Dina shoulder barges him off the truck. This starts like a whole set piece of you fighting on trucks. This leads to splitting the back of the truck off the leads right into the stream, escaping the faction revealed to be the Aid. They struggle in the water with a screen flashing in and out of darkness, and we cut back to JJ. JJ now has to go up against a horde. He hears his first clicker, what looks to be originally just one solo clicker, but then is quickly surrounded by at least 10 runners, all near the windows where JJ looks that has these infected trying to push through these kind of half smashed windows. JJ runs through now a kind of upside down building across the ceiling, and a horde is approaching. He runs through what was a very tall building, now collapsed on its side, but you hit a wall. No way up. In gameplay, we have someone shouting as we are saved by Abby. They get away from this horde. They talk to JJ. Inexperienced, he opens up with them without really knowing who they are, even though they are both reluctant, they decide to take JJ back home to Jackson as they can't leave a child alone. Ellie and Dina get washed up where they started and go back to Jackson to regroup, hopefully to find some help and warning about the new faction. They arrive to see an outbreak keeps happening in Jackson due to the water supply. There's a lot of stress around and a group has already been sent out to see what is happening to the water supply. A new breakout happens when both of them arrive and they have to help out. Before leaving, they realize that JJ might be near this water as his survival instincts will push him towards water. Okay, we know these characters are now in these different locations, okay? Some of them are going different directions and some they are technically going the complete opposite directions. Abby, Lev and JJ are going this way and Ellie and Dina are going this way to a unknown location upstream. But now we follow Abby down back to Jackson with her younglings. When they arrive, Jackson is in deep trouble. All the deaths are attracting more infected from outside the town. Through the help of Abby, she saves the city. This is a complicated thing as Abby did kill Tommy's brother. Now she has saved the town and also basically his nephew. Tommy over the years has got older, very slow and struggles to help. Basically saved by Abby. He's grown old and has regrets about what he made Ellie do, and over the years has had many arguments with Ellie of what happened. After his wife's death, he has become a sort of a leader of the community, and in terms of Abby, he comes to realize she let them go and survive twice, only killed really 2 of them as I can remember, while they killed her family basically twice. Tommy apologized to Ellie at one point, but both of them silently kind of forgive Abby for what she did, as when you look in the mirror, technically they did worse. There is obviously tension, but Abby saved Jackson from the infected, but now there is a horde on its way. They know that the aid are the reason for this as they put 2 and 2 together. They are the reason for the water supply and the turning of the people of Jackson. No one can leave because the infected are on their way and they need to repair. However, Abby and Lev can leave. There was a small argument if JJ should go. It's either him deal with a horde or the aid. Lev does stay though to defend Jackson as Abby and JJ leave. We do want to fight this horde though, so we have to fight it as Tommy for this small section, kind of being inspired by Helldivers and also that no returns type mode in Last of Us Part 2. Tommy is older now. He is going to struggle with fighting this horde, and we can see this through the gameplay. But he's a sniper at heart, and that is this kind of section of you fighting this horde off as a kind of sniper, as Lev, as your companion. It's a weird group. Could be fun. But at the end of this, we don't know if Tommy survives this fight as we cut back to Ellie and Dina. They go through some events, end up catching up with the group and run into some Fireflies. The Jackson group and the Fireflies know about each other, but have never really interacted with each other. They're quite far away in terms of location. They communicate, but tension increases to an argument, and then a rogue bullet comes out of nowhere and hits one of the leaders of the Fireflies group. Both blame each other and start to fight. A fight like any other, but some on both sides are shot from random bullets and suddenly turn. This is a new enemy called the Turners. They shoot other enemies, they hide and turn other enemies into infected through what we learn later on, but I'm going to explain it now. Bullets that are stored in spores. And we fight these off and they're dazed and confused of how this is happening. We continue with Ellie and Dina trying to find any sign of JJ, but instead they come across a stadium right next to a stream, slightly inspired by the O2 Arena in the UK, and there's probably a stadium next to water somewhere in America. Comment below if there is one, as I have no idea. Even though the search for JJ is the only thing on their mind, this infected water could massively affect JJ if they think he's near it, leading Ellie and Dina into a rage to try and take down what they're doing to the water with some explosives, what they have saw while scouting. Side note as well, throughout the whole game, we're seeing these enemies doing evil shit, talking about the plans, talking about the different characters annoying their plans and how they're affecting them. We see them talk about the events that we've been through, with the leader going by the name Mesa, aka the Medicine. Okay, another roundup where we are. We now know this location is the stadium where Ellie and Dina are, Abby and JJ are getting very close to this stadium now. We do continue playing as Ellie here, going through the stadium, taking out members of the aid, but they get overwhelmed. Doing this themselves was a mistake. They contemplated setting up the explosives when they're still in the building, possibly save their son and also the village, town, whatever it is. But when they think that a bullet hits one of the enemies, Ellie goes for a gun and aims from where the bullet came and sees Abby. She thinks to shoot, but then sees JJ and tells Dina. We cut to Abby covering them with their sniper. After a while, JJ says he's going to help. Abby tries to stop him. He's too quick. He runs to them. You play as JJ here, trying to get to Ellie and Dina. They reunite. The explosives have been set and the enemies are chasing them. They run. Ellie is behind them, trying to cut some of the enemies off. Abby is shooting behind as well. They run to the door before Ellie can get through. The door slams shut. The medicine has stopped them. He grabs Ellie, throws her where he came from. She continues running, knowing that Dina and JJ are out of the explosives. Ellie is trapped and trips the explosives. Fire engulfs Mercer and Ellie. She climbs and climbs and ends up getting to the top of the stadium on the edge. And over that edge is water, and fire blocks any other way out, and the drop is too far down. The medicine catches up to her with all his henchmen. Ellie is surrounded, nowhere to run. Dina and JJ have now reached Abby. Ellie and Mercer fight. Abby can't get that shot. They both split. Abby gets enough space, but Ellie gets shot by the medicine, and Abby shoots him right in the head. Ellie is wounded, and the followers look around and dash towards her. Abby shoots. Ellie, with only a knife now, takes one, takes two, takes three out, but then she is shot again by one of the enemies. She falls back, continues to fight. Dina screams. Abby runs out of bullets, drops her gun, and all three of them see Ellie get shot again and again and again, and she falls into the stream. Ellie has died in her last stand, sacrificing herself for her family. Abby pulls them both away. They travel back. The stadium exploded, destroyed, and we see the blood of Ellie flow through the stream into the water supply, hinting that it's gone into the water supply of Jackson. The blood of Ellie is in their drink supply, and the cure possibly. That's the hint here. We see Tommy cry while hugging JJ and Dina as he is told what has happened. Abby hugs Lev, and it assumes that Abby is telling her to stay as she leaves, but JJ pulls her hand as she leaves. Tommy puts a hand on JJ, and Abby has now found her new home in Jackson. We get an aftermath explaining that the immunity in Jackson grows, hinting that the blood cured the infected. Kind of being inspired by penicillin because it was by accident, so this is now the cure for the mushroom disease, what was also founded by accident. We see later that Jackson has started sending their dead down the stream, hinting that this is respectful to how Ellie died and that the cure will spread through the water of Jackson. With that, we have the ending of these three characters. We have Abby's redemption, Ellie's sacrifice for her family, and JJ kind of blaming himself for one of his parents' death. Tommy has found forgiveness in his old age, and this kind of cements the end of the trilogy. We could technically have another game of a different character, but this is the end. I know it's harsh to see Ellie die, but it kind of makes sense as technically she was going to die in the first game. And it kind of also explains, not really explains, but hints or suggests that Joel killing everyone and saving her at that moment led to this moment. It led to Ellie saving possibly more people by accident, technically infecting the world with the cure. But what do you think? Comment below your thoughts. Do you hate this? Some will definitely hate this. But comment below, like and subscribe for future mumble. Check everything below to support the channel, and I will see you on the next mumble.